Good day, everyone. So we're now down to the last part of our review in preparation for your quarter examination. So this would be under linear equation in two variables. So I have here a situation. You are asked to study the profit of two establishments in Quezon City based on the graph below. The first question here is to identify the independent and dependent variable of the given situation, and then you explain. So in here, our independent variable is the time in years. And then our dependent variable is the profit in millions. If we will be asked to explain what makes an independent and dependent variable different from each other, so of course, it's so-called as dependent because arriving with the result here would mean it will depend on the time in years. And then the independent variable, which is in our x-axis, that refers to the time. Okay. Now the second question is to give the slope of each line. So for the two businesses. So if you will try to check Gale's Bakery, the slope here, of course, you will be starting here. The coordinate is negative 0, negative 1. And then you identify a point here on the line, second point. So let us consider this point. So this point is 1, 2. So that means the slope for Gale's Bakery always remember to consider rise over run. So that's 1, 2, 3. Sorry, here 1, 2, 3 is our rise and 1 for our run. In other words, it's 3. Then let's identify the slope for the business of Iza's Hopia. Same concept, you will be needing the rise and the run, and you need 2 points as well. So we can consider this point here. The coordinate is 0, negative 2. And the other point, we can consider this point here. Okay, but this point here is 3, 2. Okay. And then you start from this point. So we go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So the rise is 4. Then the run is 1, 2, 3. So since we go to the we went to the right 3 times, so that would be positive 3. So for Isa's Hopia, the slope is 4/3. Now let's continue. The third question is to write the equation for each line in slope-intercept form. So we start with Gale's Bakery. So we already know that the slope is already 3. Remember, slope-intercept form is in the form of y is equal to mx plus b. We already know what is m, so we just have to substitute. But we still don't know what is b. Again, b is the y-intercept. In our case here, the line crosses the y-axis at 0, negative 1. So that means the slope is negative 1. So the final answer here is y is equal to 3x minus 1. For Isa's Hopia, we already identified that the slope is 4/3. That means y is equal to 4/3 x, and we still don't know what is the y-intercept, but we can already identify that here. Wait, let me just erase that. This is the line of Isa's Hopia, and it crosses the y-axis at 0, -2. So the y-intercept is -2. The answer is y is equal to 4/3 minus 2. Okay, now let's proceed to the fourth question. Write the equation of each line in standard form. So if you try to remember standard form, the standard form of an equation is ax plus by is equal to c. So if we start from with the equation of the line for Gale's Bakery, and the equation now is currently y is equal to 3x minus 1. First, we need to add negative 3x in both sides, because the ones that must be here on the right-hand side of the equation should be a constant only. So this will become 0. You'll have -1 here. This is negative 3x plus y. As I've mentioned in our discussion in the classroom, the leading coefficient, the coefficient of the x, is we encourage everyone to write it as a positive coefficient. So if we multiply a -1 in both sides, so that will become positive 3x. -1 times y is negative y. -1 times -1 is 1. So for Gale's Bakery, the equation of the line in standard form is 3x minus y is equal to 1. And for Isa's Hopia, the equation is currently y is equal to 4/3 x minus 2. The first thing that we need to do is to get rid or make sure that the coefficients would just be an integer. Looking at the coefficient of x, that's 4/3, there's a denominator 3 here. And to get rid of that, you just have to multiply a 3 in both sides. So that would be 3 times y. Enclose the right-hand side of the equation and multiply 3. So this will become 3y, and this will become, since you will distribute the 3 to 4/3 x, this will become 4x, and 3 times -2 is -6. And then finally, to isolate the constant term, -6, we need to add a -4x in both sides. So we are applying here APE as a property. Okay, since we don't have enough space, perhaps I can just write it here. Continuation. So that will result to -4x plus 3y is equal to -6. And as I said, the leading coefficient, we encourage you to write it in positive. So we need to multiply a -1 in both sides. That will become 4x minus 3y is equal to 6. So this is now the equation of the line for Isa's Hopia. That's 4x minus 3y is equal to 6. For the fifth question, we are asked here to explain the meaning of y-intercepts in these graphs. So looking at the graph, the y-intercept for Gale's Bakery the line crosses the y-axis at 0, -1. Okay. The meaning of that, what's the meaning of the y-intercept here? -1. It means that the starting capital of Gale's Bakery, starting capital is 1 million. Since the y-axis is profit in millions. While for Isa's Hopia, the y-intercept here, since the y-intercept here is -2, because the line crosses at 0, -2. And it means that the starting capital of this establishment is 2 million. Okay. Sixth question. If the trend continues, which food establishment will be earning the most and earning the least? So let's start with the food establishment that will earn the most. So what will be your basis for this one? So your basis would be the slope, because the slope will tell you um, how much they earn in every year. So for example, for Gale's Bakery, if you remember, the slope is 3, and for Isa's Hopia, the slope is 4/3. So it is understandable that in every in every in every year, this establishment will have a profit of 3 million. And if you will try to compare it to Isa's Hopia, the establishment will get 4 million in every 3 years. So the question now is, which one earns the most? So looking at it, 3 is greater than 4/3. So if 3 is greater than 4/3, that means that the answer for A, on which establishment is earning will be earning most, that's Gale. And again, because the slope for Gale's Bakery is 3 compared to Isa. In other words, the ones earning least is Isa's Hopia, because it's just 4/3. Okay, there you go. Because 4/3 is less than a 3. Okay. You just have to write it in complete sentence once you will be asked to answer it in the examination. So, of course, in my case, it's just a reviewer. So, I'm just writing the important information that you need to jot down in your exam. Hmm. Okay, let's consider this situation here. So, considering that we still have, okay, in our case, a while ago, we only have two. So, this is our third business establishment. And we name it as Mika's Chocolate House. So here are the information gathered. So the starting capital of Mika's Chocolate House is 3 million. The slope is 1/4. And it says that after 20 years, they will have a profit of 2 million. So based on the starting capital 3 million, that will give us an ordered pair of 0, -3. Because if you're still starting, your profit would probably be lower than zero. And since you pull out 3 million from your pocket, so you still have to earn 3 million before you earn a profit. So that's why it's -3. And based on the third information provided to us, that after 20 years, they will have a profit of 2 million. So take note that 20 is the time and 2 million is the profit. So time is our independent variable and profit is our dependent variable. That will give us an ordered pair of 20, 2, 20 and 2. Now we are asked here to write the equation that models the profit of Mika's chocolate house in X years. So it's up to you. What will you do? But in my case, I, I will be presenting you two options on how will you come up with the equation. So first option is to consider 1 point, 1 point in the line, perhaps 0 and -3. You can also use 20 and 2, and the slope which is 1/4. And you can use now the point slope form. Okay. If you use point slope form, that's y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times the quantity of x minus x sub 1. This is our first point here. This is x sub 1. This is y sub 1. So y sub 1 is -3. So y minus -3 is equal to 1/4 times the quantity of x minus 0. So y minus -3 will be plus 3. 1/4 times x is 1/4 x. 1/4 times 0 is just 0. So you don't have to write 0 here. And then we're not asked to write it in slope-intercept form or standard form or general form. So it's your choice. How will you write your final answer? So here, if we decided to write it in slope-intercept form, that means the y should be isolated. That would happen by just simply adding -3 in both sides. And that will become y is equal to, wait, something's happening in the presentation. Yeah. So let me just write my answer here. So that's y, -3 plus -3 is 0, then 1/4 x minus 3. So this is now the equation in slope-intercept form. So when you write your answer in slope-intercept form, it doesn't matter if you have a coefficient of a fraction. That's okay. Now, what if you decided to use another method to find the equation that represents the profit of Mika's chocolate house in X years? So you can consider 2 points on the line. So the first point probably would be your starting capital, and the other one would be your profit after 20 years, in which it's 20 and 2. So in our case here, since there are 2 points, we will be using the 2-point form. So that 2-point form is y minus y sub 1 is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1 times the quantity of x minus x sub 1. Perhaps we can represent this as x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Then all you need to do is to substitute. Y sub 1 is -3, y sub 2 is 2, y sub 1 is -3. X sub 2 now is 20, x sub 1 is 0. Then x minus x sub 1 is 0. And you simplify, negative times negative, if we rewrite y minus -3, that will become y plus 3. 2 minus -3, this will become 2 plus 3, so 5. And 20 minus 0 is 20. Then you have x here. If you simplify 5 over 20, that would become 1/4 x. If you notice, we already ended up with the same equation from our option 1. And still, if you write your final answer in slope-intercept form, that's y is equal to 1/4 x minus 3. Okay. So, there you have it. Okay. So, going back, it's the equation here for this establishment. I'm very sorry, this is not the name of the establishment. We already mentioned that it's Mika's Chocolate House. So the equation of the line is y is equal to 1/4 x minus 3. So the task here in B is to draw a rectangular coordinate system or a Cartesian plane. So don't forget that the Cartesian plane must have the x-axis, the y-axis, the tick marks, and of course, the label, because we don't know what's your skip counting. So automatically you'll have points there if you were able to show that to me. Then let's proceed to C. We are asked to graph the equation in the rectangular coordinate system and briefly explain the method used. So there's a lot of ways to graph this one. So it's up to you whether you will use table of values, x and y intercepts, or slope and a point. So it's your choice. But in my end, I will be using a point and a slope. So if you use a point and a slope, you need 1 point that is provided to you. So the first information here will give us the first point, which is 0 negatively. So don't forget it's negative because this is starting capital. So we're talking about profits here in our y-axis. So 0 negative 3. So you'll start at 0 negative 3. That's the point. And then we will be using the second information where the slope is 1/4. So slope is rise over run. In other words, you go up once and then move 4 times going to the right to get the other point. So you go up once, so 1, then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is now the second point. So the name of the location of this point is at 4, -2. Then you just get a ruler. Okay, wala tayong ruler sa PowerPoint. So if you use a ruler, you just have to connect the 2 points. Let's connect it. And then there you go. That's the graph of the equation. But if in case you're not comfortable using slope and a point as a method in graphing, you can also use the 2 points that are provided to you here, 0, -3, and the other one is 20 and 2. So you just have to plot 0, -3 and 20 and 2 in the Cartesian plane, and you just connect them and you will get um, and you will be able to show the graph already. Or if you will be using table of values, you can decide by coming up with a table. So you have x and y. Then it's your choice. What will be the x values? As long as it would be, but we highly encourage you that the y value must be a whole number so that it's easier for you to plot the point. So in my case here, perhaps I can use 0. Because if x is 0, based on the equation, that's -3. If x is 4, so that would mean 4 times 1/4 is 1. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Okay? And then the other one might be 8. Because 8 times 1/4 is 2. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Then you just plot those 3 points and then you connect them using a ruler, and then you will be able to show the graph already. So that it's easier for you to see the trend of the profit, the profit earned by this establishment in years, in X years. Now, sorry, again, this is Micah's Chocolates, Micah's Chocolate Factory. So if you will be asked again, which establishment earned the most, so take note, Gale is 3, Isa's Hopia is 4/3, Micah's Chocolate Factory is 1/4. So still, our answer here for A is Gale's Bakery because the slope is greater compared to Isa and Micah. And for the establishment that earns the least, it's Mika's Chocolate Factory with 1/4 as a slope. Compared to the other two, this is the least value. Oops, chocolate. Now let's answer the last question. So what helps in modeling and analyzing real-life situations and relations involving profit? So the answer here is linear equation in two variables because this will variables. Ayan. It's because it will help us predict on what will happen in X years. Through the linear equation in two variables, it will be able for us to see the trend easier compared if we will just have to jot down all the information provided. So if you will be able to graph it, we'll be able to project what might happen in X years, how much will be the profit, and which establishment is earning the most and earning the least. So there you go. That's the end of our review, and good luck for your exam tomorrow.